About 4 or 5 years ago, I bought this carpentry work table at a garage sale of a neighbor, and then we sold our house. So in the meantime, it was up in the garage at the place we had, and it was not possible to use it because it was up on a shelf and there was absolutely no room in the garage due to all the other things I was trying to do. So planning ahead does help. But here we have it. I have done some repair to the stand and some changes, which I will show the significance of that. And in the meantime, it has a lovely clamp on the end of it and a vise that will hold the vanity top, and that will allow me to sand the edges. Now, I'm a big believer in any port in a storm, so this handy little compost bin just happens to be sitting here. So I will use that to support the end of the vanity top, since that's a little bit long for this vise all on its own. And we'll proceed with that. As you can see from the last shot, I've had to remove the compost bin and actually use the roller stand to hold the vanity top. I will be lowering it so I can more easily sand the edges. As you can see here, it's pretty well sanded. I still have some things to correct. There's a bit of a lump right here from the dowel that is anchoring everything together, and I have some smoothing to do here and some gouges here from the scroll saw to straighten out. It's important with something like this, especially with soft wood, to keep moving with the belt sander, especially using 50 grit paper, 50 grit belt, which is what I'm doing. I've rounded the edges. I have a bit more to do there, and I have to more carefully take this sharp edge off here. So this is the bottom side. This plug here is a bit of communication problem between my wife and I. So I think once the sink is in place, that will not be a problem. There should be just a little bit of this showing through here, and then this will be cut out for the bottom of the sink. This is the vise at the end of the bench I was telling you about. It has a nice handle now and it holds things very well. I find it helpful when doing something like this to do some hand sanding at the end, because it shows up the imperfections much more obviously. For instance, I've got a little dent in here, and I found that some of the saw cuts I was trying to sand out previously are actually, while there were saw cuts there to take out, most of what's left is actually small cracks in the wood. So with those I want to keep, obviously, and not try and sand those out. And I can also see that the contours here are not quite the way I want them to be, as well as still a little bit of a lump right there. Now the vanity top is on.
Pardon?
Cut this.
You have to tell me.
Another vanity top is on. I cut this template cardboard at the right distance away from the wall. And I've scribed this onto the vanity top, and now I will cut the hole. This is the vanity top after 2 coats of wax. We stained it, and then we added 2 coats of Minwax wax, not the oil but the wax, and then we buffed it with the auto buffer that's over on the workbench. And I think it's going to be quite acceptable. Should look good with the sink sitting in the middle, and the vanity probably will be painted and will sit underneath it. It's amazing what can be done with old wood and a little sanding and some polish. Hope you enjoy it. Here's the final vanity top installed. It's been installed now for a couple months, and still happy with it. Still haven't painted the vanity underneath it, but you can see it works well in the room. Bought an IKEA small dresser which holds stuff underneath the vanity. Laundry bag, works out well. The problem though is with the Minwax wax that we used. If you look closely, you can see it's just loaded with water spots. It's very hard to make sure you always wipe it up, so we probably will have to sand that and redo it. Seems every event is recorded. But happy with the way it looks other than the spotting. So after living with the horrible water-stained countertop for a few months, wondering what we were going to do, my wife decided she would just try another dose of using Minwax oil this time instead of the wax. And the preparation was strictly a wipe down, making sure it was smooth, and applying 2 coats of oil. No buffing between, no sanding, just oil. It is much more water resistant than the wax, and this is what we used. Right there. So, if you need to know how to finish a vanity top of raw wood, that seems to work well.